Welcome to the Electric Wooden Boat Building Series, number 14. In this video I show you plywood boat building working from my very own plans to maybe help you build your own boat. Today I begin carving the oak steering wheel and gluing the underside of the hull and the lower side fairing of the craft. I've found the way in which the boards line up with no gaps, so it's a beautiful seam down the center. I'll put a drop of glue there. The same with this way. I'll put a drop of glue in the middle. I'm just going to soak pretty well this corner. And I'm going to wet this one edge. I'm going to dampen it. So I got a nice bead along there. I'm going to butt these up. I think what I'm going to do is glue these for half an hour. This surface that is resting on is beautifully flat, and this is an amazing weight. Not quite sure how heavy it is, but it's probably about 20-25 pounds in weight. So that is holding this down nice and flat. I'm going to allow these two boards to glue. I'll do the other two boards and then I will glue them on top of each other, so I got a nice crisscross pattern of oak, and I will then clamp those two together overnight. And the first one I made out of pine came out so good that I'm going to follow the same concept, but I'm going to refine it so it comes out better. So this was a good first try. I'm happy with it, and it actually I might even give this away to one of my subscribers, or so yeah, maybe to just one of my subscribers as a first, you know, prototype wheel. They might be interested in using it. There are a couple of flaws in it, but what I was going to do, like here, what I was going to do is wrap this with paracord so it gives me a nice grip, and then it would actually cover some of the you know, deformity that kind of occurred when I was making it. This piece is for the spokes of the steering wheel. So I'm just going to put this weight here and let it settle for a few minutes. And then when it stopped moving around, I will then go ahead and clamp it. So I'm just going to use these little clamps I got. They cost a few bucks a piece. Oh, come on. Just literally get one in each corner doing its thing, and then, you know, a few hours from now I'll be able to start cutting these apart. So the first pieces of wood are going horizontally, So the second piece is I'm going to put on to be cross that, so I'll put them vertically as I'm looking at them. Here I have the a smaller offcut with the template that I've printed out with the 3 arms that's going to support the steering wheel. And then once I've made these, I'm going to contour these as well, so that the steering wheel kind of sits away from the center hub, which turns the steering. You'll see what I mean. Here I have the 4 pieces of wood that have been glued together overnight. So I'm going to start declamping. So here I have my Gorilla Glued boards, which will become the steering wheel. This is all absolutely solid now. And then I'm also going to mark 1 inch in, because this is an inch thick. So I'm just going to line up, and there's going to be my second line. Now this shifted a little bit, so I'm just going to make sure I line it up. That's good. Again, not the ideal working surface at all. Right. So now that is nicely on the center. This blade is great, that it cuts such clean lines, and it's even top and bottom. Here I had to create a second hole, as the first one wasn't close enough and I didn't want to mess up the piece. So I finagled my way again, as I have done many times in this project, to get the blade exactly where I needed it, right up to that inside 1 inch edge from the outside diameter. But for whatever reason, I'm not sure, but it just did not want to turn. It was pushing the blade, it was bending the blade, sparks were flying off. There was no metal caught as far as I could tell, but at this point I just decided, I need to step away. The underside of the hull had already been glued on the transom and the main frames. It was just the bow section that I had not actually stuck the underside fairing to match up with the topside fairing. So I was just slowly sanding it, checking it, drilling holes, and making sure that everything lined up before I actually went ahead and applied glue. So I was very nervous about this bit, but it actually turned out really well. The small pieces of wood with the screws in just help to displace and disperse the pressure of the wood pulling against a single screw head. So those little bits of wood were a godsend. So with the offcut that I had, I placed it on the lower port side fairing, and I'm just marking it with a felt tip pen just to see, where do I need to cut it. Later I decided not to use this pen mark and simply just to use my oscillating tool, which you'll see any second. So I cut this oak steering wheel. I had issues with the bandsaw, not sure why. I'm off work this week, so I'm taking everything outside, but here last night I put some plastic off. One by one I took these off, re-screwed them with plastic, and I put a wooden strip in and behind, if I can see, in and behind the bow. So I want to see if this glue job has held. I'm pretty sure these two are fine. I'm just not sure about this end piece. So that there is the back brace, which is bloated behind with Gorilla Glue. Stripping down is not pretty, but you know what? It's held the outside, which is going to look amazing. I'm taping up the gap in the opening where the fairings meet, and I just fill them with an epoxy just to help fill up the gap. I'd rather have some sort of bonding agent there rather than filler. Filler isn't really much of a glue, but the epoxy will do a great job. And here I've actually used the oscillating tool to completely cut away the excess from the top and sides of that lower side fairing on the port side. So it made really quick and easy work of it. The only thing is, I'm sure my neighbours didn't appreciate the noise. It is, for the size of the tool, a very noisy tool. You can see here the ribs that I've drawn, and then like the 1/4 inch bead of glue I'll put at the top. So what I'm going to do is make a pattern of this first. I'll spritz all of this stuff down, put glue on this side, put it back up, match all the holes, and let it dry. I will be replicating this boat. I will be making kits, pre-made wooden kits to people like yourself should you want it. But I'll also be selling the plans as well. So I'm just making sure that I make the full size plans, and the version 2 is where I'll be fine tuning. But I might just leave the excess so that you can kind of, as you put the boat together, you'll have a 1/4 inch here, a 1/4 inch there to work with, and you'll be able to fine tune it yourselves. Here I have marked the stem center line on the bow fairing, so I'm just cutting that nice and clean. And then I kind of realized the way that I actually wanted the side fairing to finish, I wouldn't be able to do it as I had cut the initial board. So I actually need to add this little small offcut so that the curvature of the side fairing is handled in a very exquisite way, let's say. Anyway, I'll let it unfold for you. Here I have the extra piece that was needed. So I need to sand this down a bit, but let's go rough fit it and see what it looks like.